Good day. This is transmission 23. I'm really glad that you're here. We're going to start things off with an opening meditation, and then we will transition to the channeling state, and then we'll do the channeling and some nice Q&A afterwards. So let's go ahead and take a few moments to drop into our meditative state. Align your body position with gravity in whatever way will be comfortable for some time. And allow a deep sense of presence to come in. Feeling our embodied consciousness. Sending deep appreciation to this unique time-space reality focus that we are experiencing ourselves to be. Taking a few deep breaths to drop in even deeply, more deeply into our body. Feeling the existence that animates the body and the consciousness therein. Allowing ourselves to become fully present and to arrive in this unique moment. And this unique reality that is unique out of all the millions and billions and infinity of realities that are possible. Appreciating this particular crystallized moment in time and space. Good day to ya. We welcome you to these realms of light, where the vast majority of who you are also exists. We welcome you to these realms of light, from where your physical lives, your physical personalities, and your entire physical world also springs. We remind everybody, because we are in a digital transmission, to please mute yourselves to reduce the crosstalk and background noise. And we will then jump off into our transmission for today. Thusly, we will explore a little bit more the nature of existence, the nature of the structure of existence. For we find that it takes a little bit of time to be a little bit humorous, because you are engaged in the process of extricating yourselves from a very much denser reality and into a much more fluid, dreamlike reality known as, colloquially, fourth density. And so these ideas bear repeating time and again in a variety of ways, coming at it from a variety of angles, of perspectives, so that you can continue this wonderful journey of co-creating yourselves into a new reality. So we will ask, once again, please mute yourselves, because there is a lot of noise coming in through the transmission, which will be very appreciated. And so the structure of existence is one of those topics that will very much continue to come alive in your culture. And it will bleed its way into your consciousness from a variety of angles, including your arts, your entertainments. You will notice that your productions, your movies will reflect more and more this idea of experience that is not bound to time and space in the rigidized way that you have been brought up to believe that it has to be. Many of your art forms now are exploring multiple timelines, parallel realities. And so you are expanding as a culture to this idea that even while you can appreciate this deep focus that you find yourself within, you can begin to expand yourself a little bit to see just a little bit to the left of you, a little bit to the right of you. Perhaps seeing that events might not necessarily be quite as crystallized as you have previously been led to believe, and that there are variations. And that we're not simply just talking about multiple perspectives of the same event, but actually multiple versions of the same event that are becoming more apparent as they break into your consciousness, as you expand your consciousness to include more than one version of events. Now, as this happens, also you are, as you know, as many of you know, also diverging into multiples of different versions of Earth. And so you'll find yourself navigating to those versions either that you prefer or to those versions into which the momentum of your belief matrices takes you unconsciously. And so always the thread weaving itself through our transmissions is this idea of awakening and becoming conscious of this process that is already occurring. For you do not need to learn anything new. You simply must become conscious of that which you are already doing moment to moment. Hopping across the river of life from rock to rock or lily pad to lily pad. You have simply to become conscious of this act and to become more deliberate in the hops, so that you are not propelled unconsciously into realities that you do not prefer, based on beliefs that you absorbed from your childhood, from your civilization, from your schooling, from your upbringing, but rather to make conscious choices and conscious leaps. And you will find that there is a parallel here between the neurological impulses of the physical brain and the ability to shift through a variety of frames or parallel realities. And so as you become aware that you are ensconced within multiple versions of events, you will also tap into, shall we say, different neurological patterns within your own physical brains. You will, in a manner of speaking, activate more and a variety of neurological connections. And we are speaking in terms of frequencies of neurological impulses specifically. You will tap into different patterns and different rhythms of neurological impulse, which will give you the ability to see events from different angles, different perspectives, and in a multiple of variations. So you are becoming much more consciously aware of how the physical brain can be utilized. And this will, of course, be a side effect of the growth of your consciousness. So these are very exciting times indeed. And you will find yourselves in awe and wonder of that which has already been right in front of you, but only invisible until these times when it becomes visible. And you will revel more and more in the splendor of your beings, because up to this point you have created and co-created a civilization based primarily on fear and scarcity and lack. And these beliefs have been so prevalent that they are seemingly aspects of reality as you know it to be. And as you begin to shift and expand your awareness, you will realize that because there are multiple versions of events and multiple versions of Earth, you will come to recognize a little bit more and more of the infinite nature of your own beings. And you will come to understand that the universe is ultimately based on abundance, But of course, you can create an abundance of suffering for yourselves if you do choose to limit yourself down to the beliefs that teach you of scarcity, that there is not enough to go around. And then you will find yourself in realities that reflect this back to you as a concrete truth, and it'll become self-reinforcing. Thusly, these are the times to extricate yourselves from such limitations, to transform great darkness to light. Thusly, as you expand more into the multidimensional and infinite nature of your beings, you will come to recognize that the universe is fundamentally abundant, because it is infinite by definition, and it contains all varieties, all variations. All that is explores itself in every possible way that it can. And you, as an aspect of all that is, have the capacity to shift yourself in whatever way you prefer through this infinite matrix of experience, because you have that power, the ability to navigate. And your themes of exploration now are about awakening and recognizing this power that you have and shifting out of those realities whereby you are ensconced in a very dense physical matrix that would make it seem as if you have no choice. So as always, it comes down to the nature of choice, for that is where your power resides, in this particular matrix of consciousness that you find yourselves within. So we invite you thusly to make those choices conscious and to become aware that you are shifting in each moment through multiple versions of what reality could be, crystallizing in each moment the reality into one version of events from a multitude of variations. And it is this moment, this act of crystallization, where you hop from lily pad to lily pad, from film frame to film frame, from rock to rock across the river, whatever metaphor you choose. You are always in the act of leaping. Now you make choices, mostly unconsciously, and in some degrees consciously, and even your conscious choices are influenced by your unconscious beliefs. So always the message is to investigate the nature of the beliefs that you are operating from. And we invite you to pause in moments throughout your day and ask yourself, what variations are possible? And ask yourself whether you are creating an unconscious expectation of how things will go, or whether you are even overlaying a type of hope for things to be a certain way, but deep down you're already feeling defeated that it's not possible. Investigate all of these moments of choice. Really take it down to the frame by frame. It would be as if you slow down your movie picture, your motion picture, and you start seeing it frame by frame by frame, click, click, click. You start slowing down the reality. For most of the time, you live your days in a way whereby you're clicking through the frames in such rapid succession that you do not take the time or the pause for reflection. Things just seem to happen to you. Now we are encouraging you to become lucid in this physical dream and slow down the movie. Now, of course, when you're very much engaged in conversation and activity, this might be a little bit more of a challenge, but always throughout the day you have moments where you can pause, you can slow down. And especially before heading into an event, ask yourself, what are the different variations I can experience here? Let us just use a brief example. Let us say you are going to a get-together with your friends. You are coming out of your vehicle of transportation and you have a few moments to think about what will transpire before you knock on the door. That is a pause and a moment of reflection, and you can ask yourself, what am I leaning into? Which reality, which probable version of events am I leaning into? Am I leaning into having a really good time? Am I leaning into trepidation or perhaps fear of how others will see me? Now, this is a very innocuous example, but you have many of these moment points in your lives where you can pause and you can ask yourself, what will the next moment be like? What are the variations possible? Because it will seem as if you are moving into a predestined future and you simply step into it. You might even ask intuitive people to predict such a future for you. But the future is, of course, undetermined, and you have an infinity of variations of that. So when you pause to reflect, you can really slow down this process and realize you are choosing through your energy, through your vibration, through your emotional field, which is reflective of your belief state, which probable event you will pull down into physicality, into crystallization. Thusly, if you use the movie Real example, of course, this would not be a linear film. This would be a multiple parallel reality film. So you would not have simply one film strip. You would have, almost to expand the metaphor, a grid pattern, as we have spoken in other transmissions. And you are standing in one square, and you can, of course, move not only forward in time as the momentum of time takes you, but sideways into the other frames. Now above you, you have other grids, so you can move up and down and sideways, parallel, and step into a multiple of versions of yourself. Now this grid-like pattern, your physical minds have been trained to perceive it as external reality, but we are expanding this to an expression of yourself, and in fact it is yourself. So you are traveling through yourself and you're exploring different aspects of yourself. So we invite you to shift to those frames that are more in keeping with your true natural self, that include the expression of your truest, most natural gifts. For that is your true nature. So you can trust those impulses, those callings, those longings to do certain things that give you much joy and excitement. You can use that as your breadcrumbs to take you through these matrices of parallel realities, so that you can find yourself experiencing those frames that you truly do prefer, because you have that power of choice to navigate through this field of multiple frames of experience. You are a bit like that projection light that passes through. Now, as we have mentioned in the beginning of this transmission, your awareness is beginning to expand, so that you are not only necessarily perceiving the frame that you are on, the little square that you are on, but also the adjacent squares, the variations of events. Thusly, this ability of choosing will become a little easier for those of you that choose to hone this skill of consciousness, this expansion of consciousness, because you will begin to see that reality does not operate as a foregone conclusion. That is what your belief matrices will have you believe, that everything already is a foregone conclusion, because beliefs are self-reinforcing. That is the nature of them, to perpetuate themselves, so that you can have a certain reality experience once you buy into that particular belief matrix. But now in the age of awakening, you are recognizing that beyond that which the belief matrix you have bought into, beyond that which it presents to you as the foregone conclusion of how reality is, you have other choices available, other squares you might step into. Thusly, take control of the direction of your life by becoming the director of your own movie, and begin to choose more deliberately the scenes that you wish to experience. For you very much are the director. You can use that analogy if you wish. You can also use any analogy that serves your purpose. You can imagine yourself the artist that can paint whatever painting you desire, based upon your belief matrices that you choose to dip into, So whatever you dip your paintbrush into, that is what will come out on the canvas. Thus, they always investigate the materials that you're working with, the building blocks, the beliefs. By following your emotionality back to the belief that generates them. Of course, this is your way of unlocking from the trance of physical reality. The hypnotic trance of your beliefs that perpetuate themselves and make everything appear as a foregone conclusion. This is a kind of hypnotic, self-reinforcing trance. You fall into a certain neurological rhythm and you become entranced by it, even as you become entranced by a movie. Thus, you realize you are not a passive observer of your life, you are the director of your own life. So awaken to that role, and you will find yourself gliding through reality to reality in much more pleasant, much more pleasing way, much more in alignment with who you truly are, because now you are taking that power back within yourself, rather than thinking that this movie screen, this 360-degree sphere that you see about yourself, that you call physical reality, you are no longer giving your power over to a seemingly external circumstance. You are taking charge of your own lives. Now, this transmission, this theme has been given in many ways and will continue to be given, because this is the theme right now upon your world. For those of you that are tuning in, to extricate yourself from the old belief matrices that make it seem as if things are happening to you, and becoming the directors of your lives, whereby you are choosing that which you choose to experience. So welcome to a new level. You are getting a promotion. And you are now the directors of your lives, thusly direct them in the ways that you truly do prefer. So that will be our message, our loving message for today. But we will invite questions and answers. Thusly, please remember to unmute yourselves for the asking of any questions.
Hello, Illi.
Good day.
Thank you so much for this transmission. I have a question regarding vocal channeling.
Very good.
I'm finally practicing it. It's been for several times already with my close friend online. She says that she senses progress. I'm trying to relax and trust the flow, allow the information to come through and answer her pretty complex questions, to be honest. But again, we both trust what comes, and I'm starting getting images while I'm relaxed. And yeah, I hope it's a progress indeed. Just if you have to add something, maybe you also sense something, I would appreciate that.
Very good. First of all, congratulations for acting on your inspiration, on your passion, on your calling, on your longing. Because this will shift you through the frames of reality to experience more and more of your true natural self. Thusly, you will, of course, continue to receive more and more information, more and more visual information, as well as verbal translation of your non-physical self. So very much congratulations. Now, as you know, because you are familiar with the Sasani formula of passion, the third part being not to have insistence. This is very important because many of you embark upon your passion, your gifts, your talents, and you create an image in your mind of what it will look like. And that is all well and good as long as that is energizing you and it is pulling more energy through you. However, if you find yourself beginning to feel, shall we say, frustrated, perhaps disappointed, then we invite you to really look at whether you are not starting to go into insistence, that it look in a particular way. Perhaps you find yourself saying, I should be further along by now. Or that, oh, after 6 months, it's going to look like this, or I will have such and such an audience. Now, all of this is well and good to visualize, to get excited about. However, you truly do not know from your physical mind level what it will look like in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months. Thus they allow it to unfold, allow it to be a journey of self-exploration, for you are exploring more of yourself, and stay focused on that exploration rather than what you think it will yield you in your physical reality. This is often where, shall we say, some negative beliefs can come in, some insistences, which are resistances. Thus they allow it to unfold. That is our message and our advice. Let it flow through you, enjoy the process, and by all means visualize it being in all kinds of different ways in the future, but allow it to unfold in whatever way it needs to be, precisely because the benefits of this practice of acting on your passion are not necessarily linear. They might not show up at all within the domain within which you find yourself taking the action. They might show up in other ways. You might find, for example, your relationships with people improving, and you might not even notice the connection that it is because you are channeling. You might notice perhaps your music production taking on another dimensional depth. So there are many outcomes, shall we say, that will result, that are resulting, that are transforming your life. And sometimes from a physical mind level, you do not see those nuances, those connections. And yet within the sphere of within the domain of your action, your channeling, you might look and say, oh, where are the people that I thought would be listening to this? Oh, why am I not reaching a bigger audience? For example, this is something many artists wrestle with as a conundrum in your reality. So allow the benefits to flow to you. Know that you are very much raising your frequency in a profound way, even if the external reality doesn't look in the way that you thought it might after some time passes. So that is our advice. Hopefully that makes sense or helps you along on your path.
Yes, that's very useful. Thank you so much. That's all from me for now.
Very good.
I have a question.
Very good.
It's kind of complicated. If I'm following my passion without expectations to the outcome, how can I direct my life? Because doesn't that imply that you're pointing yourself to an outcome that you would like to see? For instance, if you're in a bad place in life and you realize it and you realize you create your own reality and you say to yourself, I can get out of this situation that I find unpleasant because I create my own reality. I will create something else. And then you start looking future to the future of some sort of outcome that would be more pleasurable. Aren't you building in expectations?
So here is the nuance of this. Create the vision by all means for the excitement that it brings you in the present moment. So let's say you are an artist painting paintings and you imagine people admiring your art and loving it. And if that brings you joy and excitement in the moment, by all means visualize it and create with that sense of joy, passion, love, creativity. However, you will find yourself shifting into insistence when you start comparing your current reality with your vision, and you then begin to find yourself lacking, you begin to find yourself in disappointment, disillusionment, finding yourself saying, I should be further along by now. Now you are constraining. You're using the same vision to constrain yourself, and you are taking your energy, you're restraining, you're resisting, you're finding that sense of pain, because all pain is resistance to your natural self. Thus, they use visionary experiences to lift your vibration, and as soon as you find yourself diminishing in vibration, then you know you are using that in a negative way. And sometimes even to beat yourselves over the head with it, saying, how come it is not that way? So that is the difference, and we can expand on this if you so desire. So let us know if this will suffice.
So would that work in the opposite way also if you set your rudder, your sail to a new location, and all of a sudden you find yourself making progress there, and it's exciting, and you're happy about it, and you're thrilled, and you can see the change coming, and you can see the old ways leaving you and new ways coming? It doesn't always have to be the negative. Can't you propel yourself forward on the positive energy flow?
Absolutely. However, the nature of raising your frequency is such that as you move into the higher frequency, you will have the feeling experience of moving and shifting vibration upwards, which will be exhilarating. Now, there is a point when it begins to illuminate more places within the personality that are holding on or restraining. And it is this moment where you make a choice to either beat yourself over the head for still having some resistance, or you simply use that as part of the forward momentum. You used sailing, and this is a very good analogy because, of course, you know you can sail into the wind. And thusly, you use the momentum of the negativity, the revelation of the negativity, to actually propel yourself forward and upwards in vibration, rather than labeling the revelation of resistance, more subtle levels of resistance, as a hindrance to your path. It is actually part of your path. Because if you take a candle into your basement, you might not notice what you have there, but then you start increasing the light. You light another candle, a third candle, a fourth candle, and you start saying, oh goodness, I need to clean this place up. And so you clean it up, and then you increase the light and you increase the frequency, and then you realize, oh, there's more to clean. So it is very similar. When you begin to raise and expand your consciousness, there's the exhilaration of the expansion, and then there is the revelation of more limitation. And how you label the revelation of that limitation will largely determine your experience of it. You can use it to become even more conscious and expand your consciousness even further, or you can use it to reinsert yourself into negative beliefs that you are not good enough, perhaps, that, oh, you were only mistaken, this will truly not work for you after all, or this only confirms you really can't get what you want, and all these negative beliefs. So that moment of definition is very, very critical. So you can either adjust your sail to continue to move forward, or you can simply allow yourself to be defeated by this particular revelation. But this is how reality is structured. There is always an oscillation. You feel a moment of expansion, and that expansion by definition will reveal more of the constraints. And that is how this adventure is laid out. That is simply the structure of your particular reality. Thusly, when you find your light illuminating more darkness within you, use that to propel yourself forward rather than using it as a confirmation of your own unworthiness. Does that make sense?
It does. You know, it seems like lately I have been setting myself up in negative situations, knowing that I know that I can get out of them, just as I don't know how to say it, maybe as a practice session of putting limitations up for myself so I can overcome them.
Well, that is your third and fourth density by definition. You place yourself in a reality whereby you experience of yourself from a limited perspective, so that you can then have the experience of this incredible focus, and at the same time, in this age particularly, the experience of extricating yourself from that limitation into greater portions of yourself. So this is basically the way things are structured and set up in your world? Do you have a specific question about that?
No, it was more an observation.
You can investigate the mechanism of choice that puts you in certain situations, because you do not always have to learn through pain and suffering. Now, there will always be challenges, of course, but you do choose to some degree your challenges. Of course, your theme is set up before, so to speak, before, or from higher levels of self. But within that, you have also a great degree of choice in how you choose to go through those challenges, how you choose to frame those challenges, and that makes all the difference in the world. So we invite you to investigate the nature of the choices that put you in certain situations. You can ask yourself, how does it serve me to insert myself into this situation? Or what would I have to believe is true to choose to enter into this particular reality experience? So those are some ideas.
I have a question.
Very good.
So I wondered what your thoughts were on the concept of accepting the things that we cannot change.
And that is the whole question?
That's the whole question.
Very good. So we invite, or we suggest lightly, to always accept things as they are, because the reality that has crystallized in a certain particular way is already the case. And so each moment you can choose to accept it as it is, or you can resist the way that it is. Resistance, of course, invites pain, suffering, which are optional in your world. Challenges will always be there. That is the nature of how you have set up your reality adventure, is to move through a series of challenges in a time-space reality format. So that will always be there. How you choose to go through it. Do you go through it with resistance? Do you go through it in pain and suffering? That is the choice. So the idea is paradoxical in nature because you accept things as they are, even while you use things as they are as a hopping off point, as a springing off point into the next frame and the next frame and the next frame. So the paradox is to fully accept things as they are, even while you use things as they are as the hopping off point towards something different, towards something more. Does that make sense? Or is there another angle to explore?
No. It makes sense, and I hear that we think similarly on that. I just, obviously listening to you talking about Jeff's question, how to sort of manage negative perspectives, when these negative thoughts, these expectations come in, can get us stuck, can get us blocked. And that's why, you operating acceptance, I always find is a really good way forward. It prevents a lot of these blocks.
Yes, because if reality has crystallized in a certain way, you want to appreciate the hundreds of billions of infinity of calculations, shall we say, to put it in colloquial terms, that it took for reality to crystallize that particular way. And it is a perfect crystallization of the nature of your theme of exploration. And thusly to resist that is, well, we find that very humorous from our level. But of course we are laughing at the situation and not at you and your experiences. But the idea is to appreciate it as it crystallizes, even if it is not what you prefer, because it's there to tell you something about yourself. So to push away that would be a bit like taking a class and refusing to take the curriculum. You see, because your world is very much like a schoolroom, and you have designed for yourself a certain curriculum, and then from your physical personality, you're given the free will to refuse to accept it as it is. You are given that choice because you are infinitely loved by higher mind, by all that is, by existence. So you have that free will to resist as much as you want. But it is very painful. That is the nature of resistance. So yes, acceptance is the paradoxical frequency that enables things to change.
Thank you.
Very good. Then let's take a few moments to rest in this vibration and this energy of transformation. We will invite one more look at this awareness that the expansion of consciousness will always, in your particular reality format, will include not only the revelation of who you truly are, but also the revelations of the limitations that you have placed upon yourself. Thusly, it is a great cause for joy when your limitations are revealed to you, for when you make the unconscious conscious, you now have the conscious choice to shift, rather than the unconscious momentum to simply keep perpetuating the same negativity in an unconscious way. So it is always a celebration, and your life can always become that celebration of joy and ecstatic synchronicity, because those things that are unpreferred or negative that happen in your life are also the synchronicity working, delivering to you exactly, precisely the curriculum that is needed for the next wave of your expansion. So you can take that as a creative challenge, a creative constraint, or you can go into deep fragmentation and lamentation and lament things the way that they are and resist. So these are all free will choices. And this is a fundamental core choice that will radically transform your life when you begin to observe all blockages as curriculum, as creative constraints, as challenges that you can move through in an excited, joyful way, rather than a painful, self-deprecating, self-invalidating way. So these are the core beliefs on your world that are shifting from self-invalidation to self-validation, from self-hate to self-love, from self-resistance to self-acceptance. This is a profound, profound transformation. For even as your world has changed over millennia, it has not changed in this profound and particular way on a fundamental core belief upon which your civilization is based. So expect the miraculous as you continue to expand your consciousness in these beautiful, loving ways. We appreciate each and every one of you who is here in physical time-space, or either hearing the recording, for being here, for being a part of this momentum of change and transformation upon your world. It gives us great joy to participate in this grand orchestration of awakening that is happening in your world. Thusly, we will continue to be our true natural selves, which is to radiate this frequency of change and transformation and unlocking from the old density to the new reality. So welcome home to yourselves and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ups and downs of this wild adventure that you are upon. And with these words, we will bring this transmission to a relative pause and invite you to make this connection anytime and all the time if you wish in your own lives, for we only reflect that which your higher minds know. That's what your inner being already communicates to you 24/7, as you say. So with that, we give the blessings that are ours to give, and we invite you to give yourselves the blessings that you do deserve, for you are infinite, beautiful, creative and loving beings. So give yourselves that kind and loving regard, and you will find yourself experiencing the reality frame whereby that is what is. So we wish each and every one of you thusly a beautiful, glorious, and a fond good day. Nice. Wow, that was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, as always, thanks for the questions and the co-creation. I really feel like the questions just pull more through. I will sign off for now, and thank you again for being here. This is really, it's just amazing to have this circle of co-creation, so I very much appreciate it. So I will see you, I will see you all in the ethers. Have pleasant dreams and enjoy your lives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye, Jeff.
Bye.